Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We are talking about fetal development, and this is part three. Last time we talked about the first trimester week by week. I know it was long. This time will not be near as long, so you don't need to worry about that. We just had a lot to get through in one trimester because I want the baby to get born before you graduate. Okay, so welcome to the second trimester. Okay, with this, we are going to be doing it month by month. So sometimes there'll be multiple pictures so that you can see kind of beginning to end of the month. Also, when the size is identified of the baby, that is usually at the end of the month, not the beginning of the month. Okay? Okay. Okay, we have finished the trimester, so this is the fourth month. You can see baby is getting faster, quicker. First off, you can see that it says the baby is covered in lanugo. Okay, that is that really, really fine hair that covers the body. It's not the thick, coarse hair like you'd find for eyebrows or the top of your head or, as an adult. It's just that really, really fine, thin hair. And the hair is white because no pigmentation is happening to the hair yet. So it is colorless. Okay, you can see by our picture up here that all the intestines are now inside the abdominal cavity. They're not kind of squashed into the end of the umbilical cord like before. They can see light through their eyelids. Their eyelids aren't really opening or closing yet, but they can see light through. And they can suck their thumb. If you shone a light at somebody's belly at this point, they actually might respond and be able to move away from the light or move toward the light. They'd be able to respond to it because of being able to see it. They are able to urinate, or if you prefer, pee. They are swallowing, practicing that. So they are swallowing amniotic fluid. Now, if you pay attention, they are peeing. They're in the amniotic sac and they're swallowing the amniotic fluid. Yes, they are swallowing their own pee. And they're practicing breathing it so it's going in and out of their lungs. And yes, their taste buds are now starting to work so they can taste it as well. They are starting to get those detailed fingerprints. They are making facial expressions, so they'll scrunch up their face or they'll pout or do things like that. And by this point in time, the baby's heartbeat can clearly be heard using an ultrasound. There is no problem. Baby at this size is only a few inches, though, so remember that. Okay, so that's at the fourth month. Now, quick side trip, talking about the different parts. Okay, the umbilical cord, which I'm hoping you know by now is your belly button, or at least where your belly button is, was the umbilical cord. Okay, the umbilical cord is a series of blood vessels that come to and from the placenta. And you can kind of see it go around baby's leg, up and over the shoulder, over to this thing, which is part of the placenta that you're seeing. And that is what transfers materials between the mother and the baby. However, there is no contact between the baby's blood and the mother's blood. There is diffusion across that membrane that goes between from the mother's uterus and blood vessels to the baby's placenta and blood vessels. Okay, this big bubble around baby is the amniotic sac. It primarily is filled with water and some minerals and things. However, you, you know, pee now. Uh, it primarily would work as a cushion so that as baby is moving around, there's some level of protection besides the mother, and there's that delay of moving because the baby's in a fluid instead of a solid. You know, it's not just a baby hanging out in the uterus, it's a baby in a bubble hanging out in the uterus. Okay, so just remember that you need to know what the amniotic sac is. It's filled with amniotic fluid. You have the umbilical cord and the placenta, all of which are visible in this picture, so I thought it would be a good opportunity. And it gives you a close-up at how baby's coming. Okay, so that is the 4th month. Going on to the 5th month, we have our little troll doll here, except, of course, your baby's cuter. They can hear very clearly by this point. Their hearing is developed. So at this point, they'll start learning the voices around them, the sounds around them. They'll respond to music and different things like that. They sometimes will get startled if there's a loud noise, things like that. Their lungs are there. They have all the pieces and parts, but they are not really functional yet. There's some chemicals called a surfactant that needs to be in the lungs in order for them to function. And the body is really just starting to do that at this point. Okay, they have eyelashes and eyebrows, although again, white. But because baby can taste now, baby is able to taste some of the foods that mom eats that have a lot of flavor. So spicy foods, peppers, garlic, things like that would change the fluid of the mother, also change the fluid of the amniotic sac. So baby is actually starting to be able to taste things. This is the time period when you would go for a sonogram to find out if you have a little boy or a little girl. And you'll be glad to know that because of all of the stuff going on in the baby's amniotic fluid, baby is developing what is called meconium, which is in their intestines, and it will be their first poo that they have. Newborn poo is a unique experience, which many of you will experience. It is kind of an olive green, maybe a little bit darker in color, and very sticky and hard to get off. So something to look forward to if you are planning on having children, or whether you plan them or not, and God sends them your way. Okay? So 5th month, baby's still getting a lot bigger here. You can see the details on the face, that close-up. You got fingernails growing, and I love the picture of the baby sucking his thumb, so it had to go into the PowerPoint. Okay. On to month number 6. Okay, you'll notice baby there's looking a little strange, kind of like somebody frosted his eyebrows. In this time period, the actual skin is developing, not just the membrane surrounding. And first off, if you look carefully, you can see the lanugo, that little fluffy hair that's all over the body. But the stuff that looks kind of like frosting is called vernix. And this is kind of a waxy, gooey, slippery substance that covers the body of the baby. Because it's actual skin, and it's now inside the amniotic fluid, the skin, if it was just exposed to all this water all the time, would actually start to break down. So the body produces this vernix that coats the skin as a protection for the skin so that the skin won't get damaged. And you can even see the little fingernails in the picture. So if you're going to have a baby, make sure you have nail clippers pretty soon because those are sharp little nails that come quick. The baby will start to be depositing fat tissue, so they will stop looking like a scrawny little thing and start becoming pudgy, like you think of when a baby's born. Their lungs are finishing by the end of the 6th month. Their lungs are fully functional. Their facial features are their own now. So they will look different from everybody else by this point. And if you do one of those 4D sonograms or even a 3D where you get to see the face, it will look just like your baby. Hair is still white, no pigment yet, but they have learned through the development of the inner ear that there is an up and a down. They can determine where they are. And in this time period, their weight actually doubles. Think of the difference between the little troll and Mr. Potato Head here. Now, at this point, which is 24 weeks, the baby is considered viable. That means that they have a strong chance of survival if they are born. And that's kind of the pinnacle of the end of the 2nd trimester. Okay? Now, this time period is crucial because it's related to whether they can breathe or not and have their proper neural functions and things. This 24 weeks you will hear over and over again related to regulations concerning abortion, because most abortion laws state that the baby can be aborted until 24 weeks. In other words, well, the baby's not going to live, so if we don't want it, we can kill it then. Okay? So, look at that face and think that. They don't see the face. Like it said at the beginning, most people that see the ultrasound don't have abortions. Okay? However, it is true that at 24 weeks, baby is fully functional, teeny tiny, but fully functional, and able to be born. However, within that trimester, before 24 weeks, you can have a little miracle. This is the earliest birth with survival. There's a little boy that has the same time period, but I couldn't find any pictures. This is Frida Mangold from Germany. She was born at 21 weeks and 5 days. She could have been aborted, but instead she was born. Her mother got an infection in the uterus, and that caused her to be born. And you can see how tiny she is. And she struggled to breathe, but she survived. And you can see on her arm, her mother put her own wedding band. Now, this baby weighs 1 pound. If you get a box of butter with the 4 sticks, that's 1 pound. That's how much this tiny little girl weighed. Now, the sad thing is most of the time in most countries, if a child is born this early, because it is assumed that they can't survive, most hospitals will not do anything to help the baby survive. They will simply say, oh, well, it'll live for a little while and, say your goodbyes and, oh, well, that's sad. And they don't even try. So realize if you are one of those parents that end up with an extreme micropreemie born really early, when the doctor says there's no chance, this little girl was that 2% chance born at 21 weeks, 5 days. And at this time period, every single day counts. So remember that face when somebody says that 24 weeks is viable. Okay? Some thinking to do. Until next time.